Wasabi Wallet. Unfairly private.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Why Are We Bullish? Best part of my Friday. Very excited to have you all. There's already 130 some people in here. Smash that like button. Give this a share. We've got a killer panel today. We've got some great friends. I will introduce them as they come in, but we're gonna get this thing rolling. As always, of course. This is live. Anything can happen. So I defer to my friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
All right, we're going to get rolling. I think you guys already know who's going to be on, but again, give this a share. Let's get a ton of people going here. Happy Friday. As always, I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
All right, before we bring in our friends here, let's take a quick look at where we are in the market. We are sitting at $31,679 per coin. A single US dollar will pick you up 3,158 sats. Stack them while you can. 89.25% of all Bitcoin have been mined. And in terms of fees, next block is going to cost you around 55 sats per byte. If you're willing to wait an hour, 2 sats per byte might do you. Not bad. And one other notable thing we've seen, and this is going to be a little bit of one of my topics that I want to talk about today, but we've seen a lot of migration of miners and everything, and we're going to see an estimated difficulty drop of almost 21%, it looks like, over on bitbo.io here. And that's looking to lock in around June 30th. So you could see some faster blocks around that time, some cheap transactions if you're looking to open Lightning channels or move around some funds. So be sure to check that out. Now, of course, before we bring in everyone, shout out to sponsors of the show, LEDN.io. You can use this for a variety of different services. In particular, if you're in a pinch and you need dollars and you don't want to sell your Bitcoin, because why the hell would you want to sell your Bitcoin? You can deposit, get a loan for dollars, and when you pay back those dollars, you get back the same number of sats, which is the important number to me. Of course, they have Bitcoin and USDC savings accounts and a B2X offering if you're feeling mega bullish. Check them out. Links are down below. Keystone, these guys are back, formerly Kobo Vault. There's a big crazy thing that went on to cause the rename, but still the same awesome air gapping piece of machinery that is great for multi-sig. Be sure to check them out. And I also have an interview with Lishan from Keystone, formerly Kobo, about exactly what went down and caused this change in name. If you're in Canada, stacking sats and security and ease of use is top of mind. Bitbuy, excellent choice. These guys do yearly proof of reserve audits, and they were the first and only so far in Canada to offer one-to-one Bitcoin insurance through Knox Custody. Check them out. They do have an app on the App Store. I do live on Bitcoin. Check out Bitrefill. These guys, any gift card you can imagine for Bitcoin on-chain or Lightning Network, and you earn sats back as you shop. And finally, don't back up your wallets on paper, guys. Get them on solid steel on the BillFodl. This is how I back up all of my important Bitcoin wallets. You don't want it to burn up in a fire, water damage, or accidentally throw the damn thing out. Probably not going to do that with solid steel. Anyways, enough with that. Let's get the people in the room that you guys came to see. We have Mr. Dennis Porter. We have Max and Stacy. And we have Dread. Welcome, everybody, to the show. I'm going to go down the line really quick and let you guys introduce yourselves, and then we'll get this thing rolling. So I'll pass it over to Dennis first. Dude, can you just introduce yourself, what you do, and yeah, I send it to you.
Yeah, Dennis Porter, just another lame podcaster over here. When you get addicted to Bitcoin, you feel like there's a strong urge to constantly talk about it. And one of the ways I thought I could maybe do that was start a podcast. So I started one called Smart People Shit. I'm also very active on Twitter. Love to share my based narratives that I try to come up with. But that's pretty much it. All it is about me, just trying to spread the good word of Bitcoin to the people.
Awesome, man. Thank you for coming on, and
Love it.
and you've been integral on Clubhouse, having some great great conversations there, and on Spaces as of late too.
Yeah,
So
I cut my teeth on Clubhouse and on Spaces, but eventually had to start a podcast like all the good Bitcoiners out there.
soon we'll all just be podcasters,
Yeah.
everybody. Dread, man, it's good to have you on for the first time. Can you please let people that are unfamiliar with you, let them know who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a pleb. I'm a Jamaican digital nomad. I've been in tech for most of my career, but fell on the Bitcoin rabbit hole and haven't looked back since. You know, they say Bitcoiners are unemployable, and I've kind of become that way. So now I just kind of travel and find out where Bitcoin is all over the world internationally. And that's really my focus to, see how financial inclusion can be accelerated around the world. And that's my passion now. And I educate people everywhere I can go to make that happen as well.
Awesome, man. Well, it's a pleasure to have here. Very excited. Let's go down the line. I'll toss it to, I don't know if you guys are going to do this separately or together, but Stacy and Max, take it away. If for anybody that has no idea who you guys are, if you're living under a rock, please let them know.
Right. We're Orange Pill Podcast, where you find relentless optimism and Renaissance 2.0. We started covering Bitcoin back in 2011 when it was $1, especially this guy. Like, he figured it out, and he's been a lunatic for Bitcoin ever since, and we get more and more bullish. What else do you have to add, Max?
I am Mr. Stacy Herbert, and I do a podcast with her called Orange Pill Podcast.
Podcast?
And everything is good.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, everybody, welcome to the show. This is Why Are We Bullish? Very, very simple. We live by the 3 R's. Somebody's going to give a reason why they're bullish. Altogether, we riff on that reason, and then we rotate to the next person. Very, very easy format, very chill, and it's the favorite part of my week. It makes Fridays fun. So I'm going to get us rolling on a topic why I'm feeling bullish this week. And this has to do, funny enough, with the mining ban in China. And the reason that this is making me bullish is because it's destroying some FUD narratives that have been big. Number one was the FUD narrative that China controls Bitcoin. And that very quickly goes away when they ban it and Bitcoin keeps on ticking. And the other thing is I guess kind of along the same lines, but there was all this narrative around, well, too much of the hash is in China. And now we're seeing that hash basically opt out of that jurisdiction. They're doing jurisdictional arbitrage, and we're going to see that hash rate temporarily go offline and then just relocate to where they're treated best. And so we're seeing these two different approaches to handling Bitcoin. One in China where it's like, hey, we'll just ban it for the umpteenth time in a different fashion. And then we're seeing the opposite places like now El Salvador, where they're adopting it as legal tender, but they're also looking at encouraging people to come there and start mining with geothermal. And so we're seeing hash rate migrate to places where, again, they're treated best. And it's kind of that sovereign individual thesis of, in a digital world, people will just go to the jurisdictions that make the most sense. And nation states will start having to entice people to come to them as quote unquote customers instead of subjects. So I'm very excited to see this play out. I don't think the world realizes what's happening. They just see an action of a state. They don't see yet the fallout and the opportunity cost of those actions. So I'm going to open it to the floor here. If anybody wants to chime in on that subject of jurisdictional arbitrage and this kind of decentralization of Bitcoin mining hash power, does anybody want to jump in? Does anybody have thoughts?
Yeah, I'll jump in. So there's so much going on there. And one of the things that was remarkable was the president of El Salvador doing his BT sessions like demonstration of how to use a wallet. And I had flashbacks to 8 years ago in some Andreas Antonopoulos video. It's come full circle. So now we've got presidents essentially going through and how to explain what's going on, and it's really it's breathtaking, So been in this for 10 years, and it's always so many things have happened that have been remarkable and dumbfounding, and yet again, Bitcoin has served up a moment that like takes your breath away and is dumbfounding, like, Jesus, what is going on? And so that was my big takeaway from that particular news event.
Yeah, I love it. And does anybody else have thoughts on what's going on with the mining ban and move of hash power?
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, it's a pretty incredible event that's occurring, going along with what Max is saying here. And it kind of reminds me of how eyeballs were attracted to the space back in 2013 with Silk Road. And inevitably, people are going to stick around and realize that Bitcoiners have the best arguments. The same thing happened in 2017 with big blocks versus small blocks and the war between Bitcoin Cash. That's what really galvanized me to begin searching for how to engage and how to be a part of the community and how to support Bitcoin in any way I can. And I see that same thing happening in 2021 with this energy FUD and with the great China exodus. So I think there's a lot of people that are going to start paying attention. And some of those people are going to be great members of the community moving forward, promoting Bitcoin.
Yeah. How about you, Dred? What do you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it feels from my side like almost a gold rush of miners, because these miners are all leaving China now, and it's almost like, you want to talk about infrastructure week announcement, like they have to build infrastructure globally now to handle these miners. There's not enough infrastructure to produce the power for them to be plugged in right now, right? So the incentives are just there to grow and grow and grow and find new places for energy, like El Salvador, that has an entire volcano to get some energy out of. And being there in El Salvador was just amazing, because I saw that it was a ground up movement. It wasn't like some head of state or some World Bank or some bullshit IMF came along and said, you should do this. It was people on the side of the road and on the beach, selling pupusas for Bitcoin that made this happen. So I'm so bullish that the ground up swell made infrastructure on mining for volcanoes happen.
I love that. Stacy, do you see the actions from China pushing miners out of Bitcoin, expediting the sovereignty of nations like El Salvador?
Yeah, sure. I have 2 points to make on that, which is it's interesting that we're about to have the 50th anniversary of the US dollar global fiat system. When the US took us off the gold standard in 1971, going off a hard money standard required the most powerful, biggest nation to do it. And here, going back onto a hard money standard, it makes sense now that I think about it, now that I see it, that it would be one of the smallest fiat economies in the world that brings us back onto it. And that small, tiny economy is going to bring the likes of China and US eventually. They might not do it today. They're going to resist, but it will eventually bring them. Now, in terms of the mining, this is what, the Bitcoin community, all of us podcasters and stuff have kind of been forecasting this, signaling that this is coming, right? Is all that stranded energy out there in the world. This has been a big topic over the last few months. And here we see a use case, a real world example of this, that all these nations in the world that haven't been as lucky as America in terms of the size and the resources we have. We do have humongous resources that can be transported easily to market. Well, places like El Salvador, Paraguay, with their hydroelectric, we're going to see that stranded energy be converted to hard money. And that's going to be really fascinating to watch.
Very exciting. Very exciting to see this. I'll round this topic out. I'm very excited to see how this plays out on a global stage and see who clues in first. Stacy, I think you're right on point, that idea of a huge kind of powerful head of state basically dissolving a hard money standard so that they could more or less take advantage of the ability to print at will. Whereas the most disenfranchised clawing that back because they've been so hurt by that action 50 years ago. It's beautiful to see it play out, because it's going to start with one, but that's just the first domino. So very exciting.
Yeah, and also I was thinking, let's say you own a gold mine somewhere, and the government tells you to shut your gold mine down. You're maybe doing 10 tons of rocks a day you were processing. And so you get an airplane and you pick up 40% of your gold mine and you fly to another country. Now, is that possible? No. Well, here you have Chinese miners. The government says you got to shut down. And within a day, they move 40% of it out. It's gone. It's leaving on a plane. And once again, Bitcoin versus gold, right? Gold has jurisdictional risk. That's always been a problem. With Bitcoin, you don't have that jurisdictional risk. You can always be mobile. You can always go to whatever jurisdiction. The blocks kept coming. It wasn't any interruption. No interruption at all. I mean, it's like, okay, I'm going to move my hydroelectric dam. I'm going to move it 3,000 miles away. No, that's not going to happen. Oh, I guess what? I'm going to move half of this, 170 quintillion processing per second network, the center of gravity, 3,000 miles away tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, it's entirely possible with Bitcoin, because you don't. All you need is energy, and there's a lot of energy on the planet, and there's a lot of wasted energy. 1/3 of all energy on the planet produced is waste, right? It's a crazy statistic, and Bitcoin could 100x in hash power and still just be taking up a portion of the wasted energy.
Yeah.
So
one other quick, film reference. There's a Werner Herzog made a film, I believe it's called Fitzcarraldo. And part of the story of the film is they have to move a ship over a mountain. And so a lot of the film is dragging a ship through the jungle. And it's like, that's the way things were 100 years ago, 200 years ago. It's like, we have to fight the enemy. We have to actually drag our ship over a mountain. Like the whole world was bound by gravity. Everything was defined by gravity. Then we started to fight gravity with air travel. And now we're fighting the gravity of gold with Bitcoin. So we're taking gravity away, taking gravity out of the picture. You would think Elon Musk would understand that because his whole business is fighting gravity with rockets. You would think he'd get it. What's wrong with this guy? He stands mired in incapacities. I don't get it.
Yeah, he needs some help. Maybe he'll hit up that B word presentation that's happening next month and get a clue, but I'm not hopeful. We'll see. Okay, awesome. So let's round out that topic. That was awesome. Thank you all for your input. We got like 350 people in here watching live. Everybody smash that like button, give this a share. Keep those comments coming too, because I'll try and pull them up when I see ones relevant to what we're talking about. But I'm going to pass it down the line now. I'm going to pass it to Dennis here. And I'm just going to ask you, what has you feeling bullish this week?
Well, the one that you chose was definitely my number one topic, but was good to come with multiple just in case somebody stole that one. But for me, something that really has me extremely bullish is the fact that myself, someone who's a total newbie in the space and who just got started 5 months ago trying to spread the word of Bitcoin, can be up here next to absolutely legendary people who are doing groundwork like Dread, but also Max and Stacy, who have just been spreading the word of Bitcoin since the very, very beginning, have been talking about it and have been expanding our knowledge on Bitcoin for a very long time. Just super pumped to be able to be on this show with you kind of people, because what other industry can you go into and 5 months in, you're sitting next to some of the best people in the space? So absolutely super bullish on the fact that Bitcoiners are very good at hiring from within. If you decide that you want to go out there and talk about Bitcoin and help people understand this new technology, this new amazing, incredible savings, world-changing technology, that you too can quickly be up here next to some of the other great people who have been talking about it for a very, very long time. I don't see any other industry doing that. I don't see any other space like that. There's so much turf protection, but here in the Bitcoin space, people are always willing to come on your podcast. I've had incredible people already come on my show, just first chance, just asking them. You have invited me on this show. This is my second time up here now. And so it's just incredible to be a part of this community.
I would totally echo that. Bitcoiners are very, very open to conversation. And one of the beautiful things I find with them is that they're they celebrate ideas rather than specific people, right? Like if you've got fantastic ideas around Bitcoin, it doesn't matter if you've been around for a decade or if you've been around for a few months, people will celebrate your ideas. And conversely, if you have a bunch of shit takes, then don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, right? And so Bitcoiners they want the conversation, they want to hash out good ideas, they recognize bad ideas, and will often very astutely point them out, but that's part of being here, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So I think it's absolutely true that Bitcoiners are very open to newcomers and having those important conversations. I'm wondering if Dread, if you've had the same kind of experiences with Bitcoiners in your affairs here.
Definitely. And I would even take it a step further to say, that even across languages, across cultures, across races, across geographic locations, there is a Bitcoin society that just automatically connects with each other. Like once you have the value that a Bitcoiner has, the monetary policy, of course, is kind of what we all have a base layer on, and that builds a certain level of civil respect, I guess you can call it. And I've seen that just consistent with every single Bitcoiner I've met. And to me, it's almost like that we call it Bitcoin society today, but tomorrow that should just be society. I mean, we're not walking around saying that, yeah, if you think that murder is great, I'm just going to hang out with you because that's your value and that's my value is that murder is bad. No, like murder is bad. I'm not going to hang out with you. And I feel like Bitcoiners feel that way about our monetary policies, about the 21 million fixed supply. Like certain things you just don't negotiate on. If somebody doesn't believe that, then I don't really have much to say to you. And that might be toxic, but to me, in the future, that's going to be normal. And I really feel like, to Dennis's point, that's what makes our community so strong, because I don't have to know who you are to know that we see eye to eye at a base level, and I can trust you at that base level. But anything past that, I don't trust, I verify, and Bitcoin makes sure I can do that easily.
I totally agree. As you were talking, also, I'm off on a bit of a tangent here before we continue down this road. There is a hair competition going on. I see somebody pulling for Stacy and somebody else pulling for me. So we're gonna have to hash that out by the end of this. We'll have to get some votes in the comments around that. But Dread, excellent comments there. Max, Stacy, both of you, you've been around for quite some time in the space, just helping people understand Bitcoin. And you've come across a lot of people, right? A lot of people have come, some have gone, but you've been very, very gracious in accepting newcomers that are going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole under your wing and trying to teach them. You've been nice enough to come on here a couple of times, and you've always been super nice to me in person. What have your experiences been with new Bitcoiners this time around, like this kind of Bitcoin epoch, with newcomers coming in? What's the experience has been like meeting new people? Are there some notable noobs out there that you've had good experiences with?
Well, to follow up on what Dread was saying there, what he's describing is a certain feeling of uncompromising. And so as Bitcoiners, we can be uncompromising. We can have very strong values. And this leads into another point about the different mix of Bitcoiners coming from all different groups. One that was not mentioned is generational. So I'm very much a boomer. And I'm probably, Stacy's Gen X. And but as a boomer, there's probably less than 10 boomers in Bitcoin. And so I'm able to talk to millennials and Gen Z about Bitcoin, and so that generational divide disappears as well. I don't feel 61 years old when I'm talking to millennials about Bitcoin. It's like, we're just talking about Bitcoin. So there's that to it. It's interesting that people have come and gone, and so from my perspective, it's all about character. And Bitcoin is a mirror, and it shows you who you really are, and a lot of people can't accept it. and so they fight it, and we don't see them, or some of them end in tragic endings. Some of them just disappear. Some of them try to create hard forks and declare themselves king of Rat Island or whatever. But as far as the newbies that come along, especially we saw it, I guess I'll just say this, we saw it in 2017 during the SegWit adoption. So at that time was really the rise of at that time World Crypto Network, which was Bitcoin programming. So up until 2017, it was Max and Stacy. From 2011 to 2017, we were pretty much the only ones on network television doing Bitcoin. So then when that show started, it was really the first time you had another generation appear. And then when I see Jack Mallers on Fox Business talking to Liz Klayman about Lightning Network this week, that's like another generation. So now we're into our third generation of media in Bitcoin, which is always for me anyway, I can say, it's always very fascinating, because that's mostly we're known for the media aspect of this industry. So, and to see Jack Mallers be able to completely dominate a conversation as he did, and reframe the conversation in ways that get his points across is like highly professional. You played Bill O'Reilly at the beginning of your show. I mean, it probably took Bill O'Reilly 10 years to figure that out. But here's like a young Bitcoiner who's already fully in the saddle and riding the beast of the media with great ease. And that's interesting and great to see. And so it's all, and we learn from it too. So it's totally interactive. We're always learning new stuff. And I learned a while ago that that the stuff you're always learning is so fresh all the time that you have to be humble. If you're not humble, you will be humbled pretty quickly. So I try not to be too much of an asshole, even though a lot of people might argue that point and say, hey, why are you such an asshole? Fact is, I could be a much bigger asshole than I am now.
In the spectrum of Bitcoin assholes, I think you fall short of the top. So I think you're in like the golden zone.
Exactly. I try to stay one notch below complete asshole.
I think like the high end is like Dieter is probably where we're sitting, but we'll see. But I love your point about Jack though, because Jack, I think part of it is the adversarial nature of Bitcoin itself. You're always, again, don't trust, verify, and if you see bullshit, you call it. And so he takes that experience of like Bitcoin Twitter and he takes it to a network news interview. And as soon as he hears something, he's on it. No, wait. And he cuts it off and he gets the message that he came to give. And I love that about Bitcoiners.
Yeah, I suppose, one of my bullish themes kind of ties in to what Dennis has just said, is that, the thing that's bullish about this community is the fuck you attitude. Fuck Elon, fuck Jack Dorsey, fuck Michael Saylor, fuck Max and Stacy, fuck us all, right? That's the thing, is like, at the end of the day, for you as the individual podcaster, by the way, that's also liberating, right? Because like, you're not like Jerome Powell, who has to measure every single word he says, and it might disintegrate, destroy the dollar, who knows? So you could say whatever you want, and the community says, yo, back off. And you're like, okay, I guess that was a stupid idea. I expressed it, but whatever. And that's kind of like how we ended up finding Bitcoin so early, because we were intentionally the opposite. We had the first financial news program that said, fuck you, Jamie Dimon, fuck you, central banks, fuck you all, right? And that was the opposite of what financial news did then and still does to this day, right? You're starting to see Bitcoin change them a little bit, where they're starting to question some of this. But at the time of the financial crisis, 2008, 2009, everybody's like, oh, I hope Ben Bernanke saves us, and we all have to be quiet. Like, don't do Occupy Wall Street. Don't resist this. We need to save the system, otherwise the system is going to be destroyed. Where our attitude was like, fuck them. Like this thing, like they did this to us, and they're going to make it even worse. They did make it worse. So, that just being able to say, fuck that guy. I don't care if he's worth 200 billion. A lot of people say, don't upset Elon. He's worth $200 billion. You need him. It's like, no, we don't. Bitcoin doesn't need Elon. It doesn't need us. None of us. Like that's the thing about it is like, you can't upset anybody, right? It's the opposite of the fiat world.
Yeah. It's, back then it was very, the rulers set the rules, so don't upset them. Now it's rules without rulers, and the world is still coming to terms with that and pricing it into Bitcoin. And right now they haven't yet come to terms with it at all. They haven't figured it out. So
I absolutely love what Stacy had to say there. I really do believe that Bitcoin encourages and will flourish critical thinking, and already has an independent thought. And I've noticed that even in myself, as I become more independent in creating my own content, whatever you want to call it, right? I've been able to have more like pure ideas. And I think that over time, this is really going to benefit the world dramatically, because more and more people are going to be thinking independently and critically, and they're only beholden to themselves. And Bitcoin enables us to be totally free with our thought, which is going to create a better world in the end. So that's an incredible point, Stacy.
Yeah, well, you do think like, okay, I'm about to express a thought in this tweet. Are like Greg and Yellow and those guys about to make me a meme, a bad meme? Like you question whether you don't want to end up on the wrong side of the memes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing though, too. It's like the autoimmune system. At some point, there has to be some, way to protect the community as well. But yeah, great. You definitely don't want to be on the bad side of all the memesters. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
I don't want some big dildos coming out of my eyes.
And the beautiful thing about this is, if you start getting memed, you have two courses of action. You can double the fuck down, or you can learn from it. And if you double down, it's not going to turn out well. If you take the opportunity to say, well, if everybody's piling on, where did I go wrong? Am I totally off base here? It's an opportunity to look in the mirror. I won't go too much further down that rabbit hole, but yeah. Anyways, guys,
the point on compromise and being uncompromising, being compromising and making compromises over time, it really destroys somebody. Over 10, 15, 20 years, all those little compromises you make over extended period of time, and you end up in a very different place than where you would be if you hadn't made those compromises. I think of this analogy, the ship starts out, and just 1 degree change in course over the course of that voyage, you end up in a very, very, very different place than where you set out. And this is Bitcoiners can afford to be uncompromising. As a matter of fact, they get paid to be uncompromising. Think about that. Everything else before this has been paid to make compromises. I'm willing to be a part of the system, even though I know the system is corrupt. I'm making a compromise because I want to have a certain status, or something like that. With Bitcoin, that's a different paradigm, and it's producing different types of people. Millennials and Gen Z who are Bitcoiners are completely different than the generation I grew up with. Completely different. We grew up with fake it till you make it, shop till you drop, conspicuous consumption, right? And look at these millennials and Gen Zs on Bitcoin. It's hodl, save. I'm selling my chair to buy more Bitcoin, right? Think about how different that is than fake it till you make it or shop till you drop. It's completely different, right? And so savings creates integrity in a lot of ways, and integrity is priceless.
Yeah, the other day I saw Sean Culkin, NFL player, tweet out, I buy all my clothes at Target, and I'm proud of that. So like, it's the hodl mentality. Like, do I need this trinkety shit, or do I want to stack some sats? And if I am making a purchase, is is it something that is going to benefit my life in the long term? Do I truly need it? And so I love this pushing out of the mentality of consumerism as something trendy. And now thrift is becoming trendy again, and saving is becoming cool again. And I love that about Bitcoin.
Yeah,
So,
I like somebody responded to Sean Culkin when he tweeted that and said, "You mean Target?"
do you guys have Value Village in the States? Is that
No.
a thing? Okay, so in Canada, there's like a used clothing store called Value Village. You can like donate stuff, but same kind of thing. Instead of Target and instead of Value Village, they say Value Village, and it's very very trendy up there.
I love that.
Okay, so I'm
wanna-
gonna keep this rolling. Sorry, Dread, take it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Final
I wanted
thoughts.
to add to how all of us Bitcoiners in the community say, fuck you, Greg, or fuck you, Elon, but it's also, fuck you to the goals that we used to believe we needed. I mean, growing up in my past life, my fiat job consulting, you used to think you wanted to become that partner, or you wanted to become that, CEO of E Corp or whatever the fuck you thought you wanted to achieve to reach the top of that ladder. And it really took a mindset of saying, fuck that goal. Like, I don't want that anyway. Sure, it has a lot of money, but who wants to compromise for that? And I don't know which one it is first, whether it's the chicken or the egg, whether it's the finding Bitcoin and then being able to say fuck you to the goals, or saying fuck you to the goals, and then because of that, being open to finding Bitcoin. But for me, it was saying fuck you to the goals first. And then it really opened my mind to dive deep into understanding that there was a different path, So the community was really strong for that.
That Bitcoin 2021, one of the moments was when Surfer Jim popped up and told Chamath to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Suddenly that became a huge story and he didn't show up.
Yeah. It's funny that just like the plebs can make a billionaire shaking his boots and avoid an entire event just because they're afraid of having their ideas challenged.
The plebs rule the world, man. The plebs rule the world.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's a total shift in power dynamic.
And when we separated church from state and the Enlightenment that happened, it was a very important moment. And the American Revolution and the ideas then. And then people forgot. We kowtow to the billionaires. We were like cower in our boots and say, oh, like, don't insult them. They're better than we are. The FOMC guys meeting and determining what's best for us. They're better than us. And that's the thing, is like, we relearned that, to kowtow, to bow, to bend the knee for these, the elite. And, Bitcoin has reversed that, reminded us it's the tree of liberty. Must be fun, right?
Yeah. I like the parallel too, bringing it back to our first conversation, the parallel between the plebs having the billionaires shaking in their boots. I think soon the pleb countries will have the largest nation states in the world shaking in their boots. They already kind of do.
Definitely.
Great. Love it.
Yeah, it's El Salvador is that first person stepping off the plank in that meme where the politician is standing on the other end of it. They're that first country to walk away. There's going to be more of that. So guys, I'm going to keep this rolling. Love that topic. Thank you, Dennis. We've got just shy of 400 people watching in here. Give this a share, smash that like button, and we're going to keep it rolling and keep those comments rolling in. I'm bringing them up whenever I see Volcano checkmate from Pago there. So I'm going to toss it to Dread here. And dude, I'm going to ask you, what are you excited about this week? What has you feeling bullish?
Well, like Dennis said, the plebs have been doing a lot of work. And I would say the main thing that has me feeling bullish is, to sum it up in one word, girth. I think girth is what has me feeling very, very bullish right now. Yeah, like very wide girth. And that's because the plebs and the Lightning Network have built a community online called Plebnet, plebnet.org. If you go there, we have a big Telegram group, and it is, oh my God, over 1,200 plebs right now, just random people grabbing Raspberry Pis, setting up nodes, whether it's Umbrel, Start9, Raspberry Blitz, all of them, my node, and connecting with each other, like through friendship, because friendship is magic and magic makes channels. and they just connect to each other and route to each other, and they learn how to set fees. Like, it's literally a organically developing Lightning Network university just happening amongst random people across 20 countries in a Telegram group. If you really want to get there the fun way, you go to kycjelly.com and it'll take you to the Telegram group. But I think that the plebs have really ignited my passion to learn again. I was in technology for many years, and I got so bored writing code because I didn't really want to give another, Fortune 100 company a way to save $1 million by cutting the hours of their workers. So I'm happy to now find something that I'm passionate to spend my skills on. And there's so many great people in this. There's a network right there. There's so many great people in this network that provide you with these channels, and channel size is what I call girth. So that's kind of a joke on how big you want to create your Lightning channel. And it's gotten so big, we're now over 2.5% of the entire Lightning network. It's just
holy shit,
Plebnet.
really?
Yeah. And we've connected to places like Bitcoin Beach in El Salvador, and we're providing them liquidity so that they can always have a channel to buy a pupusa. So it's just everything's connecting so well, and that's why I'm so bullish.
That's great. I am part of Plebnet.
Yes, you are.
I updated my node the other day, so it's just like because I'm on Umbrel, so it got rid of my my alias. So I'm somewhere in here, but it's crazy seeing how interconnected everything is, and it's just there's so many people. I just saw Greg in here. Where is he? I just saw him. There he is. Fuck you, Greg. But he's in here. Highly recommend people check this out, because so what's the ethos of this? Basically, just trying to connect to each other, trying to reciprocate channels. Like how do people get involved in this? Can you describe a little bit about how it works?
Yeah, I mean, we started on Clubhouse really because one of the early adopters, D++, who is also an educator for Bitcoin, she wanted to know how to use Lightning to send tips on Telegram using Fiat Jaff's program called LNTXBot, which is really good for Telegram sending Lightning to somebody else. And there was a whole Clubhouse room on it, and then it just kind of, snowballed from there, where people wanted to know, all right, I can send a tip now. How do I create a node? How do I open a channel? How do I set my fees? How do I know how to balance? We have this thing called, it's a circular rebalance with a person, but we call it ghetto submarine swap. There's so many cool things that we're learning that is probably going to end up getting implemented into the Lightning Network protocol, because we're finding out, just with each other, with just messing around. So we're not doing it to make money. No one's actually taking home banks of sats or anything like that. It's really just about meeting people. I've met people from 7 countries so far, just because I'm in Plebnet learning about the Lightning Network. And it's about, like I said, the most important thing, girth.
Yeah. I love that. And what was the URL again? I'm going to put it as a banner down.
Sure. It is kycjelly.com. And if you want to see the wiki to help you set up, if you don't really want to, ask somebody questions all the time, you want to just go in and do it all yourself, go to wiki.kycjelly.com. And a pleb, just a random person, decided, I'm just going to go ahead and write down everything I hear in here and make a GitHub account for it. And we can now, push feature requests and pull requests to change it. So yeah, wiki.kycjelly.com if you want to get started.
That's awesome. I'm very glad that you brought up Lightning Network. I just, I had used, simple solutions on my phone previously, but a couple months back, 2 or 3 months back, I sat down with Nate, also known as B4Bacon1 on Twitter. And he was gracious enough to spend an entire hour and a half on a call with me, explaining the ins and outs of using ThunderHub to set up Lightning channels and get my node all connected. And I learned so much. It would have taken me weeks of dicking around to figure out what I learned from him in an hour and a half. And this perfectly ties in with Dennis's previous point that Bitcoiners are just so gracious with their time if you're willing to learn. And I've got to say that he helped me so much. And in turn, because of him being so kind to me and spending his time with me, I was able to then create like an hour plus, I think it's an hour and 15-minute long video that fleshes out exactly how to set up your Lightning node on ThunderHub and get yourself connected and get inbound liquidity and all of these crazy things that I never had any clue about. So there's a lot of great people out there that are willing to help, and I highly encourage anybody that's curious about Lightning to dive in. There's a ton of tutorials. I've done some. There's lots of other people out there that are helping. So I guess my question to the remainder of the panel is what your experience with Lightning, if any, you've had thus far. Have you, is it still to the point where you've kind of maybe tinkered a little bit, or you're still like waiting to dive in? And if so, what are the hurdles that scare you?
I'll start first because I was part of that Lightning Torch, that first one a couple of years ago. And I was handed the torch. I think I handed it off to Meltem. So somebody handed it to me, I forget who. And I received the torch, and then I couldn't figure out how to freaking send it. And I was like, I was traumatized. Like, I was like so embarrassed, thinking, oh my God, the world's looking at me. People are saying, send the fucking torch on. Who has this torch? Did they run off with the money? And I'm like, oh my God. I was like DMing Elizabeth Stark, asking everybody, how do I send this freaking thing on? And so it was totally so stressful. And I ended up having to go to sleep and send it in the morning. Everybody's like, just send it in the morning. I had a nightmare that night that everybody was laughing at me and saying, you stupid bitch, how could you not send this stupid torch on? So that's the beginning of the journey. And I was a bit traumatized to even go near it for another year. Mm-hmm. Now, we have the Sphinx chat, and, coming full circle and talking about that network, of course, Max first introduced, and he's credited him for it, is Adam Curry to Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And now Adam Curry has, found the Lightning light. He's all about Lightning. And growing up, when cable news and cable first became a thing, we no longer had just two channels. Max and I were there at the beginning of MTV and all that stuff. So it's just so weird. I called up, DM'd Adam Curry, dude, how the hell do I start this Sphinx chat? How do I get on there? And he got on a Zoom call with me and spent an hour and a half walking me through getting people, get Voltage online with me and communicating, telling us how to set this up. So now on our Sphinx chat, it is really interesting. It does remind me of the early days of Bitcoin when all this stuff, at that time, there were only those QT wallets. How do I do this? How do I use it? How do I send it? Well, when people seem to it's like coming out of the birthing canal, they arrive in the Sphinx chat. Oh my God, I got here. Can you hear me? Does anybody see me? It's yeah, hi. So it's really fun. It just reminds me of those early days of not knowing what the hell you were doing and hoping it makes sense.
A whole lot of self-discovery as you're tinkering around with that. And I feel you on the what the hell am I doing aspect of it. I dove in, I think, when you were the first opportunity that you were able to actually download a Lightning wallet on your phone. But at the time, it was I didn't know what a channel was. I didn't know how to, and it was all manual. It wasn't the custodial automated ones that you can just get through Blue Wallet or Wallet of Satoshi. It was no, you've got to manually set up channels and get inbound liquidity. And I was like, why can't I receive payments? What the hell's going on? It was so confusing. So yeah, but it's gotten so much better. It's gotten so much easier. You can dive into the weeds, but you have the option to use easier things, even in a non-custodial fashion. It can still be very easy. Dennis, I'm wondering, have you yet? I think last time I talked to you, I don't know if you had yet dove much down the Lightning rabbit hole. Are you patiently on the sidelines, or where are you at?
I am peeking over the massive rabbit hole that is the Lightning Network. I've played around with some of the easier stuff to use. Obviously, I have my Lightning nodes set up recently. I have played around with some of the Lightning wallets, but I haven't dived deep down the Plebnet rabbit hole that is the one that Dredd is talking about. I've seen what they're been talking about on Clubhouse, and it really it's been really fun, even though I haven't been directly involved with what's going on with the Plebnet. It's really fascinating to watch. Someone like D++, who me and Dredd both talk to regularly on Clubhouse, actually get a group of people together and, like, in a ground up movement, push some people to get interested in Lightning as much as she is interested in Lightning, and activate so many of these community members to come around her and build Plebnet. And now they're actually providing so much girth, as Dredd calls it, to the network. So it's incredible to see the way that this stuff works. Very wide girth, very wide. Lots of girth. Hopefully I'll be providing some extra girth to the Plebnet network here soon as well. But it's great to see. I love to see it. I think Bitcoin really does encourage cooperation. It encourages people to work together. That alone is going to have absolutely incredible impacts on society as we all download this new operating system onto our brains. In the past, we've had, all sorts of different operating systems as society, as we've grown. But now we finally have stumbled across, like Max was saying, we've been looking for, I don't know if you've said this in your podcast, Max, or if you said it today. I've been listening to you all the time, obviously, but we've been searching for real money for, 100,000 years, and we finally found it, and it's going to be an incredible impact on society as a whole. The way that we use money is going to dramatically change, but it's also going to dramatically change the way we interact as human beings.
Yeah, 100%. It's wild. Go ahead, Dredd.
I do want to step in and quickly say, because I can, okay? So size does matter. Just so you know.
Yeah, the conversation was for girth and then KY jelly. Like, what kind of show they got going over here?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different terminology like that. I mean, whenever you
Square in 1975.
It's time for you to bring your girth to the Plebnet, Max.
Can you handle it? I don't know.
We can take it.
I'm going to Dredd, continue. You were going to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one more thing about the Lightning Network. It's a layer 2 technology, right? So a lot of people went through that whole, oh my God, I finally figured out Bitcoin, and now I have to figure out Lightning. Oh my God, I finally figured out Lightning. It's like this mashup between the movie Inception and Plato's cave. You finally come out of one cave, you're like, oh, it's a new world. And you're like, oh crap, there's another cave. So I feel like when layer 3 comes out, whatever that is, we have another Plato's cave to escape from. And I'm just excited that every time it's like you come out of the birthing canal all over again. And I like that analogy.
I like it. I also love this comment, MG Smith. There's a reason he's called Max. Excellent.
Yeah.
Anybody that's watching this right now and you're like, I don't know, that sounds complicated. Baby steps. I do have a ton of tutorials, even without starting down the rabbit hole of actually setting up individual channels and everything. You can actually just get a Lightning wallet on your phone immediately and just start playing to familiarize yourself with how to send and receive Lightning payments. So there's a ton, like I've covered Breeze Wallet, Phoenix is awesome. And those are non-custodial. For simple custodial, there's Blue Wallet and Wallet of Satoshi. I do an entire node tutorial on setting up Lightning network channels, and that's the big, like, girthy hour and 15-minute long video. But then there's also like MUN Bitcoin wallet. That one's incredible because it's a single unified balance. It's non-custodial, and you can receive regular Bitcoin payments on chain, or you can receive Lightning payments, and you can send the same. You can send Lightning payments or regular on-chain payments, and it's a single unified balance. So that's one of the more interesting things that I've seen as of late out of a Bitcoin wallet. And I also just recently covered Strike, which instantly converts Bitcoin into dollars and vice versa, which is being used. It's the #1 downloaded app in El Salvador right now after that announcement from them adopting Bitcoin.
Yeah,
as
it was
tender.
so fast, because for years and years, we had this debate about the white paper and the use of the word cash. And what does that word cash mean? Can I buy coffee with it? And then, the answer was always, there's second layers coming. without really fill in the blank. Second layer is coming. Then that was refined a bit. And we say, oh, lightning. Lightning. Not really knowing what the fuck it was. Yeah, lightning. And then apparently there was a coup in El Salvador from Satoshi Nakamoto, and 20,000 downloads a day of Lightning, the Lightning app, Strike, which means that within a year, the entire population is going to be using Lightning, and they're going to achieve a Bitcoin standard. That all happened so quickly. It's like whew, so fast.
It's crazy. People don't realize, like, everybody's pointing to scalability of just the layer one. That's still the stupid argument we hear today. Oh, it's 7 transactions per second. You can't scale that to the globe, and this much energy per transaction, which is a stupid argument in and of itself. But what people, they haven't priced it in. Sorry, go ahead, Dred.
Sorry, there's just one more statistic that people aren't talking about that I keep on repeating. Not only are they onboarding 20,000 users per day, they're doing over 10,000 transactions per day as well on the Lightning Network. I think it's actually 15,000 transactions the last time I checked per day on the Lightning Network, and growing. So if you want to see it scale to actually, like in reality, beat the numbers they're talking about, just look at the Lightning Network transactions going to El Salvador.
That's just El Salvador right now, Dred?
Just El Salvador.
Wow.
Just El Salvador.
Incredible.
Wow. Yeah. People don't know what's coming. People don't know what's here, actually. People don't know what's already here.
Even people who are in Bitcoin don't know it's here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a wild pace that this whole thing is happening. The dominoes are going to fall in that region. So Paraguay is already making the moves, and 6 or 7 other countries. So and then in parallel, you've got the African nations doing the same thing. So Ray over at Paxful, every time I look at Twitter, he's in a new country, hooking people up. And he alone is probably orange pilled 5 million people this week.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome to see how much innovation is happening. And even just outside of, even within the base layer, the having Taproot now locked in and activating in November, what's going to be able to be done with that is incredible. And I'm very bullish on the innovation that's also happening in second layers. Because again, you're right, Max. People would always say, "Oh, second layer, it's coming." It's here and it's ready, and it's fucking working for an entire country. So again,
and a lot of
the
times
world
we
doesn't
said it
know.
out of faith. Like I would say, oh, second layer is coming, but I'm praying second layer is coming.
Yeah,
I would have no reason to. I'm just praying, and then suddenly it's transformed the country, and my prayers have been answered. Everyone's prayers were answered. So there's a faith aspect to Bitcoin. It's underrated, and we are willing this into existence.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Bitcoiners are just really good at. That's kind of been one of the things I love most about this group of people, is that the ability of Bitcoiners to predict the future is unparalleled. Somehow you're able to just see what's coming all the time. Not just me, obviously, but people that I talk to all the time in this industry. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, Max has been predicting stuff for, and it's all come true, right? That's the incredible part.
This is my bullish thing. This is my thing. I think we should jump to there.
Yeah, let's do it. The
thing I'm bullish on is that the reason why the ability of Bitcoiners to predict the future is because I'm bullish on Bitcoin keeps observing us. It's watching the show. It's watching everything we do, and it gives us what we say. What I just said recently, just a few moments ago, that, hey, all of us Bitcoiners were talking about stranded energy. And like, whoa and fucking behold, like El Salvador is like, hey, we've got volcano energy, right? That's because Bitcoin was watching us. It was like, it's always watching us from the very beginning. It's that quantum nature of the evolution of the technology. So back in 2010, 2011, 2012, there were insane people who were giving away thousands and thousands of Bitcoin in faucets and stuff like that. Like, you'd have to be a lunatic to do it now, right? Who's going to give away 10,000 Bitcoin or 20,000 Bitcoin, like faucets run by Matti Malmi or Gavin Andreessen? Like, what sort of lunatic? That's because Bitcoin was fucking with us. Like, it was watching everybody. You're like, okay, you want to call me magic internet money? Give me away. Just sprinkle me like fairy dust. Go ahead and do it. And it was like, okay. And then the first obituaries came. And it's like, oh, you think I'm dead? All right. Okay. Let me show you some tricks. And then it started to like, so it's always seeming like in a dance with us. It's down the human rabbit hole too. It's like, it's technology created by humans or perhaps aliens, as Max might say, where the Pentagon keeps on talking. It keeps on trying to get us to believe that there's some aliens
That's
here.
my point. That's my point. Don't blow it.
Sorry. But, you know, that's the thing is like it's always evolving and always like surprise. That's why the rabbit hole is so deep, because it keeps on changing. So we're about to hit a historic moment this week. You mentioned it at the top of the show with the difficulty adjustment. It's going to be a huge difficulty adjustment. Okay, now what's this going to do? Okay, all the people in the mainstream media now looking at it saying, oh my God, China's banning it. The hash rate's collapsing. Look at this. This is bad. It's like, oh yeah, you think I'm going to die? Watch this. And boom, the difficulty adjustment goes down, profit goes up. Everybody's like, whoa, I'm going to like start mining this shit because it's like, now it's more profitable. So there's always a trick up its sleeve. It's like watching us and waiting to, you know, coming from a Hollywood background, it's always got a hook. It's always got a twist in the plot line. You're like, oh man, I should have seen that coming.
It's like Brandon Quittem wrote that essay about Bitcoin as a living organism.
Yes.
And adapting in like mushrooms that have been successful for millions of years. So it possesses those qualities.
Yeah. At the beginning, it used to be called magic internet money. Max and I spent a lot on stupid stuff like iPhones, you know, dozens of Bitcoin on stupid shit like that. But everybody was doing that. It was magic internet money. So we treated it like magic and hey, have some of my fairy dust. And then who did it first? Like, did it become store of value? Like, how did that happen? Who made it happen? Like, was Bitcoin observing us or we were observing it? Like, there seems to be this like relationship where it's always evolving as our understanding of it is evolving.
It has a cosmic dimension to it.
Yes.
Right. So it's there's that saying, petition the universe and the universe will provide. And it's like the universe, and it also gets back to that concept of Gaia, right? That everything is one organism, but all the living animals, the rocks, the trees, it's just one living organism. So, and Bitcoin is an expression of that in a way that humans seem to be responding to, unlike anything else ever. And it's changing us as a species in a lot of ways, which is fascinating. And also it can be scary. Like when the president of El Salvador was talking about and doing a demonstration of a wallet, I was like trembling.
Yeah.
I had to seek out Stacy and like, I need to hold my hand because this is, I can't believe what's going on here. I'm trembling. This is what the fuck is happening in the simulation's gone wacko. Is it really run by cats? Is that what's happening? So anyway, I've gone on a tangent.
No, I think you're right. And the idea of Bitcoin as kind of like a living organism, I think it speaks to the fact that Bitcoin responds to stimuli from us, right? It responds to positive and negative stimuli. If we're being stupid, it effectively proves how stupid we're being. Because there's a set protocol that it functions on, and the only variable is us as humans. And it just responds to us and either puts us in place or rewards us for understanding it properly. The difficulty adjustment, again, it's all pre-programmed. It functions as planned, and yeah, people don't grasp that it's just going to be fine. And one of the beautiful things when you're talking about, hey, you think I'm dead? Yeah, let's see. Bitcoin is basically the embodiment of that meme where the dude's standing over the grave with like the peace sign. It's like Bitcoin, and then like Bitcoin again over top of it. That's Bitcoin over and over again. How many deaths has it experienced over the years, or supposed deaths through mainstream media? And we're about to see it again. I can't wait for the first person to make that meme after the umpteenth time we've heard mining death spiral. If I hear mining death spiral one more fucking time, and we're gonna hear it many times, we're gonna hear it again throughout the years, and it's just whatever new round of idiots is coming in to get angry about Bitcoin, they're just gonna jump on Google and say Google Bitcoin bad, and then pull up some 2014 article and just use that as their talking points. That's the level of discourse we have now. So, you know, Bitcoin will outlast them all. It will outlast us all, and it's here to stay. But I'll defer to Dennis or Dredd if you have further thoughts on this topic here.
My only thought was that, you know, Bitcoin is like a true representation, a monetary representation of our collective consciousness, and the deeper humans peer into Bitcoin, the deeper Bitcoin will peer back into them. And that's kind of from Stacy's point. That kind of feels like it fits, you know, because that's what I've been thinking the whole time. Like, this thing is an organism. I've been following all of Quidam's mycology and mycelium parallels, and they really hit home. So I really feel that this thing is a living thing created by another living thing, whether it's here or not here, and it's watching us.
I love it. It can see you. Dennis, can you feel its eyes in the back of your head?
It's definitely a living, breathing, some sort of an artificial intelligence type organism that was dropped on this planet either by some extremely intelligent human beings or maybe aliens, who knows, a time traveler, could have been anything, honestly, but it is so far, it's such a leap from where we are today. And that's part of the reason why I'm just so absolutely excited about talking about Bitcoin and spreading the message of Bitcoin, because we're just so freaking early, honestly. And the volatility in the market just proves how early we are. If this thing can go down such a significant amount in such a short period of time, it can go up in numbers as well, in just the same amount of time. It's incredible that honestly, the difficulty adjustment is arguably, and I need to dive deeper on this. I know that there's been a couple of articles written. I've been trying to find them, but there's some people that claim that the difficulty adjustment is one of the most genius aspects of Bitcoin, where, for instance, like with gold mining, what Max was talking about, if people just decide to stop mining gold, then there's less gold being mined. But with Bitcoin, you can have a dramatic drop in the security model and have 30% of the hash rate, 40% of the hash rate come offline, and you'll have a difficulty adjustment, and we will be safe from attack, and we will continue to be safe from attack. There's already, honestly, so many miners out there that it really just doesn't matter if we lose 30, 40% of the hash rate. There's no way anybody's going to be able to combat the current hash rate and attack the network. So I just am super pumped about this point. I think that we're just beginning now with layer 2 solutions. There's going to be more layer 2 solutions, and Bitcoin is going to continue to grow and fascinate us. You know, just with what was it, the last upgrade? What was it called?
Taproot.
No. What was that one called? That was what brought us, essentially what brought us Lightning Network, because of the transaction malleability.
Not
SegWit,
yeah.
Not 2x though, obviously, but yeah. So, I mean, I think that people really undersold what we were going to get out of SegWit. Like, I remember people talking about it, they're like, oh yeah, just a mild upgrade, a little bit of transaction malleability, and boom, all of a sudden we have freaking Lightning Network. And same thing I feel like is going to happen with Taproot. And this upgrade is one of the best things I love about Bitcoiners is they undersell and over deliver in their promises. And I think that we're really going to see Bitcoin grow dramatically in the next 5 to 10 years in its abilities.
Yeah, I totally agree there. There's so much interesting stuff coming down the pipe with all of these upgrades, and yeah, it's going to be a hell of a time the next few years here. I was just going to quickly bring up, for those of you on this topic of Bitcoin as a living organism, the article that was alluded to before is this one by Brandon Quidam. It's called "Bitcoin is the Mycelium of Money," and it's a pretty good read. I highly recommend you check it out. But yeah, Bitcoin is the mycelium of money. I think Guy Swan also did an audio version of it on Bitcoin Audible. So head over there and check it out as well if you're more of a listening, and as if you don't have time to be sat in front of your computer for a solid hour reading, then Guy Swan has a silky smooth voice to read it to you. But I will. We're going to keep this rolling, and we're going to move on to Mr. Max Keiser for our final reason for feeling bullish this week. So Max, I defer to you. What has you excited, man?
Right. Well, so we've been talking about Bitcoin and consciousness, and Bitcoin and the collective consciousness, and Bitcoin as being self-aware, as tapping into some kind of cosmic intelligence. So, I've been thinking about this for a while, and as more people join the network, and those transactions, which are kind of who we are, we are the sum of our transactions. And every 10 minutes, 150 million people are synced. So their conscious is synced. And that's growing to billion, 2 billion, 3 billion people. We're at the 1997 stage of the internet. We had about the same number of users in 1997 on the internet as you have on Bitcoin now. So we're about to head into the multi-billion-dollar user number. And per the protocol, that means every 10 minutes, everyone's consciousness and unconsciousness gets synced. And so that means that the sum total of global unconscious is organized in a way that I believe is why we're seeing the appearance of these UFOs. So more and more we're getting reports about UFOs, because I think there's always been a lot of UFOs everywhere, but they've been kind of invisible to us. But now, if you take all of these billions of human minds and you sync them up, they create a very powerful force. And these UFOs are coming, and they're coming to mine Bitcoin. And they're going to be using not volcano energy, but quasars. Quasars are the most powerful force in the galaxy, in the universe. It's the most potent form of energy in the universe. They're going to tap into that. They're going to start mining Bitcoin, and that's when we get to $1 million a coin. It's going to be the aliens on UFOs tapping into quasar energy and to mine Bitcoin. And that's how we get to these higher prices. The good news is that the aliens are Bitcoiners. So just like we have friends in planet Earth who are Bitcoiners, and there's all reasons for divisions are eliminated: class, race, status. Then also the division between what is an earthling and a not earthling will also be erased. It's also immaterial. So then we tap into galactic knowledge. We tap into cosmic knowledge. So we're heading to cosmic knowledge, because it's all synced up every 10 minutes per the protocol. That's why I'm bullish. So we're going to actually see the face of God. So this generation that's developing right now is only the first generation since the beginning of the beginning. I mean, if you remember 2001, the monolith on the moon starts off, the apes are running around. They throw the bone up, turns into a spaceship. That's a filmic image of how time exists in the cosmic reality. We're about to have that moment. We've been living in the darkness our entire existence. We've never left the cave. Now we're about to really, really leave the cave. Really. And Bitcoin is easing us into it. We're being eased into it. All those revelations you have every day where you feel like, oh my God, everything I thought I knew, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Multiply that times everything you thought you knew, you don't know. And then multiply it again. And now that's where we're headed. That's what we're going to see.
I've got a question for you, Max.
Yeah.
Is a sound money network like Bitcoin the answer to the great filter and the Fermi paradox, where it's the question of, those unfamiliar, the Fermi paradox is like, in a universe so vast that has been around for so many billions of years, why haven't we yet seen intelligent life? And so the assumption or the hypothesis was, there's some sort of great filter that prevents societies from getting past a certain point in their evolution, and that then leads to, either we are behind that great filter and we haven't made it past it yet and we need to achieve it, or we are the first to go beyond that filter, and so we're the first out there, or there's the aspect of, maybe we just weren't worthy of that contact because we hadn't gotten past that great filter. And a great equalizer like Bitcoin, where all of a sudden you can kind of, and again, akin to our earlier conversation, where you can kind of plug in the consciousness of everybody on the planet working together through economics to decide and place importance on human action. Does that then propel us past that great filter and allow us to continue on as a species and no longer fight ourselves as much and self-sabotage? So I love that idea, but I was curious if you had ideas around that.
For me, it's more like looking at, in the world of physicists, you would think about the Heisenberg uncertainty principle and how the time and space kind of disappears in that model, right? And cause and effect disappear in that model. So the linear concept can't break away. So concurrently in psychology, you have Carl Jung's idea of synchronicity. Again, the linear cause and effects disappear. Things are happening on the mandala, in the perpetual now, in the forever instant. So the Bitcoin singularity, which is what I'm talking about, is about all of the scales being removed from our eyes simultaneously. And we basically are joining. It's a rejoining of who we are for real, in the sense that it's again, when you harness the power of the global unconscious in that Carl Jungian way, you have that quantum leap, right, to another state of being. So we've been in kind of a similar state of being. And when all the archaeological records, they just found a new species now of humans, from 30 or 40,000 years ago or something. I was just reading about it, that existed as Homo sapiens and Cro-Magnon, and then there's another species. But it's been somewhat uninterrupted, and you can look through the records and look through the fossils and look through and come up with a chronology of it. But there is now a leap to a cosmic consciousness that when you harness the sum total of our collective unconscious, you get this instantaneous transmogrification. And it's alluded to in art, and it's alluded to in religion. We have hints of it. So, in different religions, they have these rituals, and they have these stories that inform us about these things, about the presence of this uber consciousness, if you will. But we've never been able to reach it, and we've been looking for it in odd ways, through space exploration or what have you. But Bitcoin allows us, actually, by the coordinated syncing of all these nodes, and by turning money into something else, into a rocket, into the collective unconscious. So this idea of money is going to change as well, because we won't be needing money where we're going. Money is just a vehicle to get to where we're going. But once we're there, the idea of money disappears. The ego, individual egos, completely disappear. That's what we need to get rid of. Individual ego. It just be the hive mind, if you will. Some people call it
Or one love,
one
as
love.
Dredd might know it
Yeah,
as.
try Ja love, one love. Right. I mean, the
Yeah,
Coptic
one
religion
love.
definitely that gets into this. I would say. I mean, I'm not an expert, but there, you know, and on a spiritual basis, the shamanism and other types of spirituality approach this, the energy.
Uma, the notion of an Uma. Yeah, so you're saying like it's a collective, like it's bringing everybody in. We're all looking at it. We're all looking at the difficulty adjustment, the hash rate, all the rabbit hole of Bitcoin, and it's pulling it. It's using all that energy and the consciousness.
Our brains are not used because they're housed in these things called ego, so they don't really work together. And language is a really terrible way to communicate. It's very abstract. But with the every 10 minutes syncing of the global unconsciousness through the thing we all relate to, money, which is hard coded into our DNA, then we have a chance to collectively see something and get rid of this ego that's preventing us from seeing.
Like, well, if you mention that new species they found in, I think it's in modern China, but it's like 150,000 years old, things that you see from evolution is basically nature has its own difficulty adjustment, right? Evolution is an adjustment to new difficulties. You know, they are theorizing that maybe modern humans came out of Africa like 100,000 years ago because of the ice age, caused huge desertification. You know, everywhere turned into a desert because all the moisture in the atmosphere was in the ice, things like that. But like you saw, like, so you could usually look in the archaeological record for what we were trying to do. What even ledgers, right, thousands of years old, that was the first writing out in Mesopotamia, and like people were like, you see that the evolution through the record, the fossil record of Bitcoin itself goes back to, say, the last period of major tumult, like what we're seeing now when we just talked about going off the gold standard in 1971. You see the notion around consciousness and LSD and trying to get to that sort of spiritual sense of love in one communication, but we failed. That is, you know, the cycles always like stop, right? Then came all this free money, property prices going up, stock markets, woo, we all became yuppies and we forgot about it. And then it's back, like Bitcoin's back stronger. Like it just seems like there are forces, like we're all like part of this.
So all these different forces, they form like a kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
And we look at that kaleidoscope and we're amazed by it.
Yeah.
And it's all very colorful and it's moving. But Bitcoin allows for all the different layers of the kaleidoscope to all come to sync.
Yeah.
And it's just one bright tunnel into, let's call it, face of God. But that can only happen if we're all synced into Bitcoin as monetary network, because like, it touches our deepest need, It's
like Solaris. Have you ever seen that film?
I haven't seen it yet. No, I know which one you're talking about though.
So 1972 is considered one of the greatest films ever, right? And the astronauts are circling that planet Solaris,
right?
And a guy is sent out there because you know these people have seen something, a mysterious force, and they're no longer, like, they're beyond the reach of communication. Like, he can't talk to them, and then he himself and the people out there to rescue them, they go like crazy,
right?
Like there's a mysterious force that, you know, is out there. So I mean, that's just Tarkovsky, you know, seeing this greater consciousness, like this mysterious force. There's something churning.
That's why people with big egos and narcissists tend to get blown up by Bitcoin, because the truth of this is so unsettling, because it's not about them.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm not going to name names, but you know who they are. You know, it's, the truth is too overwhelming, and it blows up. It blows them up.
Right.
I mean, I've struggled with it myself. Like I was saying earlier, I'm like, I'm not the asshole I could be. That's because out of survival. Because I know if I were the asshole I could be, the Bitcoin protocol would fuck me up.
So the chat is naming names already. I see Elon coming up.
Yeah, I think it destroys all of those mental models. Bitcoin does. Like, to your point, we won't need money because everything that we know today that drives human action, everything that we know today that creates the limited amount of information each person knows will go away. And if we're able to see one truth through Bitcoin, then you don't really need all the human action game theory anymore, because everything is just, what it is. It's a fact through Bitcoin, and it breaks all the economic models that we know today. So I don't know what the new one's going to be, because it's brand new, and it's a single path towards it, but I don't know what it'll look like. But I know it's not going to be what we've known it to be for hundreds of years, whether it's Keynesian if you're wrong or Austrian if you're right. I think all of that breaks once we're on hyper Bitcoinization.
Yeah.
And like talking about the permanency, the truth of human experience, and beyond money, is Max and I went to this museum, this amazing museum in Istanbul. And those are the Hittites, like, were really the first to put these all these contracts. They were big on contracts. They loved their smart contracts, right? That still exists to this day because it was into stone. And one of the most amazing is like there was a man who was dissed by another guy in the marketplace. And he's like, why are you slandering my good name? Like, this is like, you're saying I didn't pay you back. I told you I'm going to pay you back. And this is my honor. This is my name. This is my truth. Like, why are you saying this to me? And it survived to this day, thousands of years later, but it's it's so familiar. As you're saying, like earlier, like we're Bitcoiners, right? You show up and you understand each other. There's a universality to it. And the universality of human experience throughout history it's always beyond money. It's about trust, about faith, about your good name, your place in the world. In a contract and in a ledger, like Bitcoin records it. It records it constantly.
Yeah, I had that experience in Fez. We were traveling in Morocco 2 years ago in Fez, which is a Medina with 10,000 people, 9,000 alleyways that have no name. And these are people living on $1 or $2 a day. And after a couple of days, I felt like nobody here is broke, because it's a completely self-sustaining unit. Like, it's just people all day long, hustle, 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 hustle. The guy's selling meat, the guy's selling veg, this person is tanning, ding, 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 ding. And it's just completely self-contained. I didn't get a sense of anyone being unhappy about them not getting, what I'm saying? Like,
there's no stress.
It wasn't like,
it was real.
It was real. It's like, and so, amplify that with the over 1 billion with syncing up every 10 minutes on Bitcoin. It's just, you're just vibrating at a frequency that's real. And when you get rid of that egocentricity, you get rid of the neuroses that come with it, and the paranoia, this instant gratification that seeking through external things like drugs, alcohol, this type of thing. And so then what's left, when you strip it all away, is spirit. So if you become just a spiritual entity, then you're combined with all spiritual entities. So, but what's incredible to me is that this generation is actually potentially experiencing the Bitcoin singularity, which is after 100,000, 200,000 years. That we're at the end game. Potentially. That's how fast this is going.
One of the things that I think drives it is that time preference, that shift in time preference. That really started to hit me personally only like post 2017 fork wars. Like before that, it was just like I was still the same Stacy. Like, I knew Bitcoin, I was part of Bitcoin, but like it hadn't yet changed me on that sort of fundamental level. Max always says Bitcoin, you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. We've also added now, you don't fix Bitcoin, to the likes of Elon. Bitcoin fixes you. And once that shift happens, it's really hard to go back. Like once it happens, you can't really describe it. It just happens. It's like that mysterious force out there. You're like, something has happened to me and my time preference has changed. And all the things I used to want and desire in life, like nice chairs, it all evaporates and it's hard to get back once that's gone. But it's not like if you didn't have nice chairs in the fiat world, like you would suffer, like you would feel bad, you were stressed out, you were comparing yourself to the neighbors and like what they had and possessions they had, and that negativity inside directed at yourself, it disappears.
And also when you have like unconfiscatable wealth and self-sovereignty, it's immune to the fear mongering, because so much of the news and the media is about taxes going up, there's a war coming on, and it's just constantly berating people and threatening people. Like we're gonna take it all, we're gonna send you to war, we're gonna kill you. And then when you've got this unconfiscatable wealth that's protected by an impregnable encrypted wall, you're like, yeah, whatever, cuck, go fuck yourself. I've heard this bullshit so long. Just like go fuck put your
Yeah, but the true cost and the reality around you, once you can see it, once you can feel it, like it's hard to go back. When we were in that Medina and Fez, there was a butcher's shop, and it's a different experience to show up with the butchers and like, okay, select which goat you want us to kill. And you're like looking at these cute goats and you're like, I think I'll have some vegetables. They're like telling you which one to, like, you have to look it in the eye and say, okay, are you going to eat me? That was a real moment too. And I was, I am a carnivore, but I was just like, I think I'd rather be ignorant on this.
Yeah. It's that whole like real, it's like a slap in the face. Like, this is the real shit. This is what's going on here.
But Bitcoin does that to the way to governments, to how we organize and structure ourselves, like the cost of war. There is a cost of war. We don't see it anymore, partly because the media is now part of the fiat military industrial sort of complex, and they don't show the images of the true cost of it. But that moment of like having to select which creature you wanted killed is like, you're like, okay, I think I could wait a bit. And if you had Bitcoin imposes real costs, right? Like the decisions you make have real consequences and costs.
Yeah, you're in the moment, right? So the problem with modern life is that everything goes by and you're not really in the moment. You're a tourist in your own life. You're not really participating in your own life. And so when you get the Bitcoin standard in your brain, you're actually participating in your own life. So your every single decision is now going through the Bitcoin singularity. You're like, well, that's a waste. That's not a waste. So you have greater contact with your life. And then once you have that, then your life is different and you meet different people then, right? So then your community changes, and then the community as a whole decides, hey, let's flip El Salvador. Right. And then El Salvador is going to be like, let's flip the region. Right. So that all just came out of being in the now, which is because the blockchain is syncing every 10 minutes all of our unconscious desires about money.
We're plugging back into truth, right? We had a version of it with sound money with gold before it was easily able to be co-opted and perverted with necessarily with fiat extraction, not fiat extraction, but like paper extraction. And then that peg was broken and we went to a system of untruth or a system of lying, and it set us back decades, right? We've been sitting here for, like we said, we're coming up on year 50 of a generation of just straight up lies. There's no truth to economic movement. There's no truth to where we place value, because somebody at the top gets to reallocate all of that capital wherever they see fit. And, you see the results of that is a very select few benefit a lot, and the majority of the globe does not benefit. And we're now seeing, like you said, everybody's starting to shift out of that. We're opting out of that, where El Salvador is the first country to officially plug back into truth. And the implications, as everybody shifts to that network of truth, we can better allocate our time and our resources and grow more as a society, as a people. And I saw some people saying, well, hive mind. Well, it's not exactly hive mind. It's more, you're able to see things clearly because there's no obfuscation of where value is actually placed. You get to see the cumulative economic desires of a planet of 8, 9, 10, eventually billion people. You get to actually see where that value is placed instead of where the people at the top want that value to be placed.
Right. There's a saying that you become what you hate.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last 5 or 6 years, America has hated on Russia. And in the process, we become like the Soviet Union. All of the decisions, economic decisions, are made by the Politburo of the FOMC. You've got incredible wealth and income gap, loss of the censorship, running riot, propaganda, gone crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We could have avoided all that, but we chose not to. El Salvador, yeah, they're breaking free. They're plugging into the truth, as you say, and it's going to have a huge ripple effect.
But also on top of that, going back to that little goat in the Medina, is obviously I would choose to kill the goat when I get too hungry. But most of our fiat world is just mindless, right? You don't think of the cost of all the debt, that it's actually just pulling consumption forward. Who are you pulling it forward from? Well, the next generation. It's not you that's going to pay for it. It's somebody else, right? So therefore, you don't even think about it. You're just like, well, I'm not going to be around. Let them pay for it. Right. So you keep on rolling it forward. The same thing with all our fiat food. You're just like stuffing it into your mouth and not thinking of the costs and the consequences of factory farming, all the sort of stuff, the horror that goes into a lot of the stuff we have. And then, so when you're confronted with whether or not you need the chair, whether or not you really need to eat right now, okay, I'm not that hungry, but you're a cute little goat, but I might come back tomorrow because I know I'll be hungry tomorrow. And then like to just have to have to be mindful, thinking about what you're actually doing and whether or not it's necessary. And that's like what I was saying, that's part of that whole time preference. When your time preference shifts, you start to value the now, and you really are aware of actually everything you're doing, putting into your mouth, consuming, your role on earth.
Yeah, I mean, as far as hive mind goes, I mean, I think it's worth digging deeper into it. Not at this moment, but the fact is that there's a collectivism associated with the nodes. There's a collective effort. It's Linux, right? Linux is a collective effort. It has a dictator at the center of it, Linus Torvald. So it's not like Bitcoin that has no center, but all systems, as somebody said, it breaks all the models, but we still have to use English to discuss these things, right? So words are good approximations of meaning. They're not very precise, even the most precise words. And in English, there are many, many more words, for example, than there are in common usage in French. But in French is probably more expressive because of its lack of words, because the more is given to the expression that is on the speaker's behalf. They say French is the language of the woods, because it's you have tremendous meaning in gesture and context, and you don't. And whereas in English, sometimes you become overly specific, and when you become overly specific, you sometimes completely obviate meaning. It's very specific and meaningless. Whereas something that's, I mean, we just saw this great 2-part series on Hemingway. So Hemingway is considered to be the greatest American novelist of the century. And he had this iceberg theory where he really 9/10 of what was trying to say, he left out. And so language, be careful with language, because the spirit that's being expressed, I think, takes precedence over parsing individual words. Otherwise, you end up like writing for the New York Times, where all they do all day is parse words to the point where they have no meaning, and it becomes a worthless propaganda rag.
But when you're talking collectivism, I mean, what you're really saying is the network. The network survives. Like, Adam Smith talked about that capitalism should reflect nature, right? Nature is perfect. Nature balances itself. It has its own difficulty adjustments. That's what I was saying about evolution. There was a viral video this past week of that baby elephant and the mom, but two other giant female elephants, like, created a triangle in which they made the baby sleep. They were protecting their herd. They were protecting their future, rather than letting I need a more comfortable sleep. Go away, baby. And the baby gets eaten by a lion, right? So there's they're protecting the network of their species, that is the elephant, by forcing this little baby that kept on trying to climb out. It's like, it doesn't want to be there, right? It wants to get out. It wants to break free. It wants to go explore and play with the lions, not knowing it's going to eat it. And that's collectivism. It's like, who were the other two females that were like surrounding it, keeping it from getting away? They're working towards their own the network to continue. That is their elephant network.
Right. There's game theory, there's cooperation, there's altruism. These things are on the other side of belligerence, violence, and war as coping mechanisms. And all of those things are too expensive.
Yeah.
So altruism is a much more efficient way at cooperation. And as a strategy for interaction, it's underutilized. But it is, and you see it in the animal kingdom. Altruism is used quite often. This famous example being the fish that eats the bacteria off the shark's teeth, or right. So it's hanging out in the jaw of the shark, right? But there's a mutual beneficial relationship to this, and so there's subtlety of it, right? So we kind of live in an area in an era where subtlety has been kind of lost, and everything is extremely basic. Even TV shows. I mean, the TV shows are it's like soft porn and violence. Every single show is exactly the same, but it's a period drama, so that somebody dressed up from 100 years ago. Soft porn, violence. It's like boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. So that's comic book storytelling. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent on this now.
I think that my favorite thing about having you on this show is we go and we say, why are you bullish? And the rabbit holes that are visited through all of this are so fantastic that I don't know, because we've taken so many twists and turns, where we are in the rabbit hole, but I've thoroughly enjoyed the journey all the way down. So I see people again in the comments saying they need to give this a re-listen or a rewatch, because there's so much here. But it's fantastic. I love it. I love investigating the implications of Bitcoin on people and us as a society, us as a civilization, and where that can take us. So I am conscious of time. I do have some family stuff, but I'm going to go around really quick and just get any final thoughts from everybody. So I'm going to jump to Dennis, and I'm just going to say, do you have any final thoughts about anything discussed today? And also, in wrapping up your final thoughts, let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, there was a couple things that, and I won't talk long for the sake of time. Also, I can't speak nearly as eloquently and long and girthy as Max can. But there's a couple things that he said that I really liked. One of them that I think about a lot and try to continue to think about is the 10 minutes, or on average 10 minutes every time we get a new block, and that it's like a heartbeat for Bitcoin. But it's interesting because there's so many people that are all a part of the network now. And every 10 minutes, we all have to agree on a set of rules. And I think that in a world where it feels like none of us can agree anymore, I think that will have pretty big implications in helping us move towards a more, whatever you want to call it, world peace, you want to call it globalism, a united planet. I think that is one big part of Bitcoin that I like to think a lot about and think deeply about, that we all have to agree. We're all forced to essentially agree. So that was one part that I thought I really like. I took the part that you said about as well, and I just continuing to add it to the way I think about and perceive Bitcoin. Another part that was more of a fun thing was talking about the aliens, obviously, because we're always wondering where did Bitcoin come from? We don't really know. We could have been a single person, could have been a group of people, could have been an alien, a time traveler. But one of the fun ones is the aliens, and I used to think that maybe it was sent here by aliens as a way for them to be able to transact with us. But I think that something that I didn't think about was that what Max was saying, where maybe it was sent here as a way to incentivize other civilizations that are, have never shown themselves to us before to come here, almost similar to like the idea that people have had where, hey, why don't we send, 100 Bitcoin to some planet far away? Because in 100 years, that Bitcoin will be worth so much that it will be incentivized to actually travel to that distant planet. And maybe that's kind of something similar to what's happening. Obviously this is all just fun theoretical stuff. Max seems to definitely have some great points around the aliens, but I think it's interesting to think that maybe they are coming here to mine the Bitcoin. Maybe they've already had Bitcoin on their planets, and maybe they shot Bitcoin across space and time to where we are to incentivize themselves to come here and mine Bitcoin in its early stages, just because they know just how dramatically valuable it will be in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as some of the things that my mind has been absolutely expanded listening to Max and Stacy once again. Total legends when it comes to thinking about Bitcoin and its impacts on society. But yeah, if you want to, are we doing the closing out or the following up, or are we doing that or another wrap around? Should I close out? No, where find me?
Yeah, any wrap up and where people can find you would be awesome too.
Yeah, I tweet a lot. I'm on Twitter all the time, so you can find me at The Machine Built. Thinking about changing that just to my name though to make it freaking easier. And then also I do podcasting, new podcaster, but I've had on some great guests. My podcast is called Smart People Shit, and you can find it on all the platforms except for YouTube, which I'll be coming to here very soon. I'm going to start doing video as well. I love the interaction that can occur on video. You get a little bit better, I feel like, body language interaction. I come from the Clubhouse world, so I'm so used to the audio only, but now I'm pumped to be moving on to that video aspect of podcasting, so you can have a better connection with the guests that you speak with. But yeah, thanks again, Ben, for having me on. This is an incredible show. I really appreciate you putting these on. I think it really gives people the ability to see how some of the thinkers in the space interact and talk around Bitcoin when it's more of just like an open dialogue. So I appreciate you inviting me on again.
Yeah, no worries, man. And thank you for being here. Let's jump to Dread. Dude, final thoughts about anything said today, and where can people find you?
Yeah, man, that was a deep conversation today. It's really cosmic. But the thing that I want to end with is the fact that even though we talk about the collective consciousness and aliens, there's still millions of people, actually over 2 billion people right now across the world, that don't have access to any kind of banking or financial inclusion with the rest of the world. And those people, need not only Bitcoin, but they need to go through the process that we all went through. We all went down a rabbit hole. We all got orange pilled. And for some of us that have certain dispositions, it shook us to our core. And to get through that, that change, almost that transformation, the community helps. The point Dennis made about why he's bullish about the community is so important, because like me, if it wasn't for this toxic group of dirtbags that happens every Friday, I wouldn't have gotten through my transformation to understand that everything that I knew and that I grew up around was wrong. Not only was it wrong, it was tyrannical, and in some cases illegal. And I was just going along with it because I didn't. Illegal is a argumentative word. It was immoral. And I was just going along with it because I didn't know any better until, I was learning the truth through, Medium articles and podcasts and eventually things like Clubhouse. But that process was rough, and without a community to bounce ideas off of and to lean on, a lot of people might break down. There's a lot of people in impoverished nations that don't have the same support first world countries have. And I really feel like Bitcoin looks at these things, and Bitcoin knows it needs to pop these communities up in different areas. So, I want to make sure that we are supporting these communities wherever they pop up and making sure that they can keep growing strong. So as people get red pilled across the world, orange pilled across the world, those people have the communities that they can grow with and become strong Bitcoiners like the ones on this panel. But yeah, that's about it for me. You can reach me at Pole Vault Dream on Twitter. And that's about it. I mean, just a pleb.
Awesome. I love it. And check out Plebnet. Go over to kycjelly.com for some girth.
For that girth.
Stacy, final thoughts?
Well, I'll pick up on that point that Dredd was just making. And, it's important to remember that the thing about Bitcoin is all you need is one Satoshi, fuck you money. And that's remarkable. That does not exist in the fiat world. You just need one freaking Satoshi, and that's not even a penny. And, you're at the table with the likes of Michael Saylor or Elon Musk, and you're an equal. It doesn't matter. Nobody knows, nobody, of course, because we all only have one Satoshi, right? There's boating accidents and shit like that. So everybody's equal at the table. Your voice in the consensus algorithm, it matters the same as anybody who has tens of thousands, or in the case of MicroStrategy now, 100,000 Bitcoin. So I think that's a remarkable thing. And I agree, that it makes sense to give this one Satoshi, to spread that one Satoshi to Africa, to Latin America, because they're ready for it, and it's about time. And on top of that, I do want to say, get ready for the, Bitcoin often puts on amazing, fireworks, great shows for everybody to watch. And this next week, when the difficulty adjustment happens, I think it's a historic moment, and it's really cool to be here at this time. I'm looking forward to June 30th or July 1st, whenever it happens.
Not since the halving has there been this much excitement.
And Max, how about you? Any final thoughts today?
Well, this idea of sending Bitcoin out into outer space to attract aliens, that makes sense, because I was thinking on the Apollo 11, there's a little plate that they left on the moon that shows a naked man and a naked woman, and like whoever aliens would show up, they'd say, well, why would I go there? They can't even afford clothes. I'm going to stay away from that place. It looks impoverished. Let's move on. Let's move on. But remember also, in terms of the aliens, that back in the 90s, we did the thing called SETI at home, where we all combined our computers to try to sort through radio frequencies in outer space looking for intelligent life. And who's to say something didn't slip in?
Mm-hmm. I did that. I definitely downloaded that program, and I had it running. I was looking for aliens.
Right. So, so we said we never found them, but that doesn't mean that it didn't slip in.
They didn't find. They found us.
They found us.
Maybe that was Satoshi.
Right, and then the cypherpunks started to get huge
at the same time. Yeah.
Right, and then the white paper, then the protocol drops. Okay, they came in through SETI at home, Ben. That's how they got here. I'm telling you.
I want this to be a movie. It would beat everything in the box office. I would buy all the tickets.
Max the Prophet makes another prediction. Looking forward to this one coming true.
It's true. I feel it. I'm feeling it now.
That's awesome. And Max, can you tell everybody where to find the pod, where to find you guys?
Yeah. If you ever need me, just throw up the Max sign in the sky with a giant spotlight, and I arrive at your home. I do a podcast in your living room.
I've had them. Yeah.
Go to youtube.com/orange pill, subscribe and hit the notifications. I never really understood how important that is. And of course, do it to hear BTC sessions, but youtube.com/orange pill, or join our Telegram group. If you if you want some more of this sort of conversation with all sorts of people all over the world. And that is t.me/orange pill.
And where's your party? Tell us about your party.
Oh yeah.
Well, Ben, it's Plucky. July 8th in Austin, Texas. It's the Fuck Elon party. We're gonna have a great party. There's still tickets available. Ticket for me, Plucky. I'll be there. I'll be dancing. I'm doing my pole dancing. Look at these legs. They're better than Max. Look at them.
I wish I could be in Austin, but if you're in the Austin area or if you can make it down, go to the Fuck Elon party. I heard it's going to be a blast. And
July 8th,
I hope there'll be more of Fuck Various People parties hosted by you guys.
Yeah, I got an offer to do one in Paris already. Yeah, the French were all over it. They're like, fuck Elon, hell yeah, that's great. And they were like splashing a lot of money around. It's like, we'll fly to Paris first class, do an event here as soon as possible. We desperately need to fuck Elon.
So that's an important thing to consider comparing the French versus Americans. We both had revolutions, but the Americans are so relatively polite and love their elite still. They never, took out the guillotine. The French, however, they look at fuck Elon and like, oh, Max is so polite to this guy. He's doing no guillotine? What? Like he's just swearing at him? This is so polite. Let's have it here.
Hey, no guillotine? What? That would be a nice party. 40,000 noblemen decapitated. That's the way we do it in France. Elon would be no head, headless. He's not right for the people.
Right? Marty's owl is asking when the fuck Greg party. We'll have to put something together.
That's a good one. I saw that. That's a good one. Fuck Greg. Fuck Greg is coming to where should we have that party?
I think that's just everywhere all the time.
Yeah. We should have an online party.
Somewhere on the West Coast, man. You guys kill me with these Central and East Coast parties, man. Come on, someone please come to the blue states over here on the West Coast.
Yeah. We are.
Max is within distance.
On going to LA.
LA and Seattle.
Oh yeah, Seattle. Hit it up. Let's go.
Yeah, Seattle. There's a theater there. What's the name of that theater? The Green Dragon or something?
Snap. Yeah.
Not sure.
Some aliens run it.
Maybe I'll make it down to Seattle. That's not too far from me. Okay, guys, thank you so much. This was awesome. This got way more deep, way more cosmic than anticipated, and I loved every second of it. And it seems like everybody in the chat did too. Everybody watching, thank you very much. Follow all these guys. Twitter links are in the show notes down below. Guys, I'm going to cut your audio and video as I do my little outro, but I thank you very much for being here. I will see you guys again soon. You're welcome back anytime.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Awesome. Everybody watching, holy crap. What a conversation. And everybody was given some awesome comments there. I hope you enjoyed this. This was a hell of a time. If you're new here, of course, smash that like button, give this a share, and subscribe, hit those notifications, all the important stuff. You can hit up the previously mentioned sponsors in the links to the show notes down below if you want to help with the show in another way. Or if you really loved what you saw, you can always drop me a Bitcoin Lightning Network tip at my Strike page. That is strike.me/BTC sessions, and you can just go and type in whatever you like and send a Lightning Network tip there. I did do a total new tutorial on Strike. If you're looking to get in Lightning, all that stuff, that's on my page as well. But guys, thank you very much. I bid you adieu. As always, have a wonderful day or evening wherever you may be, and I will see you guys next time for your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.